Welcome to the ODDSBREAKER'S #1 place for shared, sharp betting information.
Unreal.
Welcome back to podcast 24 of 2021. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at the ODDSBREAKERS. Follow us on social media / the ODDSBREAKERS. This episode is being brought to you by MyBookie.ag. For a 200% sign-up bonus, please visit MyBookie. Use the promo code ODDS200. Terms, conditions, and locations apply. If you'd like to help us out with our costs and sponsor the website and the podcast, we'd love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, and become a member. For $24.99 a month, you can get my premium plays before the line moves. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. Unreal, my friends. What a weekend of madness. Wow. The Pac-12 is on an absolute mission. 3 teams in the Elite 8.
Unreal.
You know, we had a bad weekend. 3-8 we went. You know, just couldn't hit anything on our plays. And we were on the right side of, I think, about 90% of the line moves. See, I had 11 bets. I think there's only one game that I was on the wrong side of the line move. 9 out of 10 games, we had line value. I mean, it was a terrible weekend for line value.
Unreal.
You know. But that's how it goes. You kill it one weekend, you can get crushed on the next. You got to just keep getting up and getting back at it. This is why we say only the best sports bettors in the world are around 56% lifetime. That's the truth. And it's only a few bets that separate the pros from the Joes. Out of 100 bets, there's only about 3 of them. I mean, that's the randomness of it. And because there's a lot of randomness in basketball in general, right? It's not just about how well your team plays. It's about how well the other team plays. You know, you could be putting on great defense and the team could be shooting terribly and you just blow them out. Or you can be putting on bad defense and the team shoots terribly and you could still possibly blow them out. I mean, that's just the name of the game. Is there some truth to the fact that the Pac-12 has gotten better on defense? 100%. But there's still just a lot of randomness in this game that's unpredictable. That's why even some of the biggest line moves has gotten beaten this weekend. Loyola, -6 to -7.5 in some books.
Wrong.
Villanova versus Baylor. Total went from 138.5 to 133.5 in some books.
Wrong.
Oral Roberts, +12.5 down to +11.
Wrong.
You know, Syracuse, +6.5 down to +6.
Wrong.
Yeah, so much wrong in these line moves, man. You know, I can keep going. Creighton was a public dog. Not going to lie, we had Creighton the first half. That was one of our losers. But +13.5 down to about +12.5.
Wrong.
I mean, our team total in total loss for the Gonzaga game because Creighton was literally that bad. I mean, they've missed so many shots in the paint. 2-point shots. All right? I mean, I've never seen a team miss so many 2-point shots. And then at the second half, they're kind of running the clock out on themselves. You know? It was crazy. I can't believe it. It's like they would like take 20 seconds off the shot clock with about 8 minutes left, down 20 something. Very poor coaching, in my opinion, for Creighton at the end there by Greg McDermott. Man, Greg McDermott has some stinkers. That dude, he can motivate his team in many cases, but that dude puts up some stinkers. And the shitty thing about the team total for Gonzaga was that we had it just so money until the end. Gonzaga just threw in their guy, their second and third string with a couple minutes left. They couldn't hit anything, and then they just ran the clock out. So Creighton did not hold up their end of the bargain there. And this game wasn't even that close. It only became an 18-point victory when they were down by, 20-some points towards the end.
Wrong.
Florida State. Line moved from +3 all the way down to +1.5.
Wrong.
Should have took the under. That line move was at least correct. Really thought about it, but I didn't want to double investment in the game, and I was on the wrong side of that one. Alabama, -5.5 all the way to -7.5 in some books.
Wrong.
44% of the tickets were on Alabama and 72% of the money. What is this Pac-12 eating? And then Oregon, of course, versus USC. Oregon, that line went kind of bounced back and forth. But, USC ended up blowing them out enough. It was mostly a double-digit lead throughout the whole game. That was interesting. It was kind of like Oregon left it all on the court versus Iowa when they couldn't miss. But it was pretty crazy. Good finish. That thing went over. So I guess there was a line move that was wrong. Under 139.5 down to 138.5.
Wrong.
So there you go. That's how the weekend went for college basketball. But I got to tell you, you also got to give some credit to some of these teams. Oregon State is playing really good defense for what they were. Their three-point defense has gotten better. Listener Glenn has actually tweeted that out at us, and it's true. It's gotten better. But at the same time, Loyola, if you're going to miss and go 1 for 14 from 3, when many of those were wide open, because I watched the game, many of those threes were wide open looks, you're probably going to lose to not only Oregon State. You're probably going to lose to Bradley. You're probably going to lose to a team like Texas Southern if you play that bad.
Unreal.
I think Loyola finished 21% from 3. But you could tell that Loyola was the better team that just couldn't hit a shot. They started up 9-3. And that's where you got to gauge which is real and which isn't, right? There's some truth to the fact that Oregon State's a better team than we thought, for sure. 100%. And they're great as a dog, apparently. But, there's also a point where the other team's got to hit shots. There's a lot of teams that freeze up and don't play that well. Look at Baylor. Look at what Baylor put themselves through. For a while there, Villanova bettors thought they were going to win that game. And then eventually, Villanova be like,
and my deep runs deep, so deep, put her ass to sleep.
Took them out. Covered the spread. Nova only scored 51 points. That game, we had a ton of line value on that over. And it lost by a lot, by like 30 points. And part of the reason was both teams couldn't hit nothing. And there was no foul calls. Compared to what they were doing to each other. These teams were hammering each other on defense. Through the arms. Even on the head and not getting calls. I actually prefer games to be not called like that. But I wish I knew ahead of time. Because sometimes you get ref fests. Right? And sometimes you get, what we just saw. They let them play. I mean, both teams were hammering each other. This should have been like, if you count it to what refs normally call, probably like a 40 or 50 free throw attempt game when it was like less than 25. I can't believe Baylor won this game going 3 for 19 from 3. 3 for 19. That's unreal, man. You know, that's one of the teams that did well because the other team couldn't shoot the 3 either. Villanova went 3 for 17 from 3. So there you have it. Baylor was sleepy start for Baylor. Lucky to cover that spread for some of the Baylor backers. Oral Roberts versus Arkansas. Oh, I got to tell you, I was in a car for some of that game and was watching it on my app. But that was close. At the end, Arkansas, massive scare from Oral Roberts. Massive scare from Oral Roberts. That was one of the games that actually worked out well for the line moves. Because actually, Arkansas was around plus 12 or minus 12 at one time early. And then that thing went down to about plus 11. But man, Arkansas looked bad that game too. You know, they're winning some ugly ways this tournament. Arkansas is. Texas Tech could have took them out, missed an opportunity. Oral Roberts could have took them out, missed an opportunity. Q's versus Houston. One of the bets we won, the under. We won the under in the first half in Oral Roberts, Arkansas. We won the under in the Syracuse versus Houston. That game was interesting because Houston just proved that they do have a 3-point defense. Remember, that was my question coming in. Syracuse backers lost. There's a ton of them out there. And Houston just shut them down completely. Right? I mean, this is how Syracuse, how I mentioned that they're very hot and cold type team. They scored 46 points. Syracuse went 5 for 23 from 3, 21.7%. Not that Houston did that much better, 26.9% from 3. But they also shot better from 2 in the paint. And they rebound the ball well. Where they get 40 rebounds to 31. There's your game right there. Houston blows them out. Easy cover for Houston backers, the few that were out there. I already covered Creighton versus Gonzaga. But Florida State was absolutely manhandled by the Zebras.
Unreal.
You know, a lot of people were tweeting about the officiating, and they were right. And people were trying to say, well, you know what, Florida State is going to lose anyway. I hate it when people say that. Because when teams play and they are not getting fouls that they should be getting called, it changes the way they play in their next play. They can't play defense, and they get a little bit gun shy to shoot the ball or take it to the paint on the offensive side. It changes the way they handle the whole game. So it just bothers me that says, oh, Michigan would have destroyed them anyway. How the hell do you know that? This was one of the biggest lopsided games I've seen in the tournament. Florida State couldn't do anything in the paint. They get down there, they would get absolutely crushed, smacked around by Michigan. No call. Florida State on the other side brushes by a Michigan player. Foul. I could not believe what I was watching. I mean, I've seen it before, so I can believe it. But that was absolute and utter crap. Doug Gottlieb tweeted about it. Others have tweeted about it. I mean, you'll never get the honesty from the commentators. So they always look stupid up there. But at the same time, this is one of the reasons why you want some better rules involved. The block charge has been pretty bad. And maybe you want somebody else that watches the game from the sky. We have to make it quick. I know, I understand the momentum thing, but now they're starting to take too long on replays anyway, like the NFL. I think it's time to fix the game a little bit because Florida State didn't have a chance. I mean, Hunter Dickinson, I counted about 13 moving picks. No calls whatsoever. And like I said before, that's fine. If you want to swallow the whistles, that's fine. But just didn't swallow it on both sides. You know, one of the fouls for Smith on Michigan, Hunter Dickinson threw Florida State's defender into him, and he called the foul on the Florida State defender. You know, it was absolutely insane. You know, Florida State gets up there, tries to play their best game, and that's what they're going to get. Unreal. There was a point where Florida State almost got back into the game. They almost got back. They hit like 2 threes in a row. They're down by 5 points. And then the officials be like,
and my deep runs deep, so deep, put her ass to sleep.
UCLA versus Bama. This was a game, very back and forth game. I was shocked that UCLA didn't foul at the end when it went to overtime. I thought the officiating was decent in this game, actually, so I will back that up. Call it like it is. I'm glad that it was, even though it was a big losing bet for us. We had Bama -6. But UCLA played their asses off, and they hit a bunch of threes. You know, and they deserved to win that game. Alabama shot bad. A lot of that was UCLA's defense. Some of it was Alabama just, you know, they scored, 90 points the last game, left it on the court. Give big credit to UCLA here, because in the overtime they said, we're winning this game. Screw your BS 3 that you made at the end. We're going to go out here and win this game. Mick Cronin deserves a ton of credit for how he's coaching these kids, because some of these kids got hurt throughout the year, you know. UCLA, 10 for 29 from 3 at 34%. Alabama, 7 for 28 at 25%. What's even the bigger story of the free throws? Alabama, 11 for 25, 44% free throw, while UCLA was 20 for 25, 80%. Here's your story right there. Alabama could not hit a free throw. But that does worry you if you're going to keep back in UCLA, seeing a free throw stat like that. But huge credit to UCLA in the Pac-12 here. Too bad they had to play each other for the USC game, which was a very lopsided game. USC played that tough pack line type defense. Oregon could not hit their threes. I mean, that was the game right there. Let's look at the stats a little bit. Oregon, 5 for 21 from 3, 23.8%, while USC, 10 for 17, 58%. USC also scored 57% from the field from 2. Shot amazingly. But USC's been kind of doing that all year. Oregon could not get it done. Duarte was a good player, 21 points, and Eugene Omoyuri, 28 points. They played really well, but the rest of the team was pretty bad. One bench player did pretty well, 4 for 5. Fran Kepning, but man, USC just could not be stopped. I mean, they kind of did everything well, you know. Besides, obviously, the most important thing, hitting all their shots. That was fantastic. Now they have a big game versus the Zags. Well, my friends, we have 8 teams left in 4 games in the Elite 8 here. Starting off with Oregon State versus Houston. It is now down to -7 for Houston. Oregon State money is coming in. And, you know, I mean, I can't disagree with it. Look what Oregon State's been doing. I mean, thinking about the teams that faced Oregon State and the way they shot the ball, maybe this happens to Houston. Maybe Oregon State kicks up that 3-point defense that they've been kicking up throughout the end of the season here. But the total in this game went down a little bit, and I agree with the line. I agree with the line move. It went from 130 to 129. We actually gave it out at 130 Sunday night. So that's a play that we're going to give out as well. There's a good chance that this under hits because Houston can really lock down on defense. You've seen what they did to Syracuse. Quentin Grimes, fantastic player. Houston's defense ranks 6th in the nation. They have the number 1 effective field goal percentage defense, 42.9% allowing. They rank number 8th now from 3-point percentage. Opponent 3-point percentage, 29%. Oregon State, much improved. They rank 60th, 95.7 on defensive efficiency. Defensive effective efficiency, 48.9%, but you can tell that they're better than that. This is why you look at the trend line at the very end. Defense doesn't really regress like offense does. 3-point percentage, opponent 30.4%. But still, I mean, these numbers aren't quite high enough. Their offensive efficiency has moved up great to a 111.9, but they're still not the greatest shooting team around there. You know, they still have their issues, and they're still due for a stinker. I just don't know when it's going to be. KenPom has this line at 9. I have this line around 8, you know. But then again, you can also get the stinker Houston team that comes out and the way they played against Rutgers, right? When they had the win at the end, 63-60. So that worries you a little bit. But I can definitely guarantee you're going to see some defense in this game. And that's why I agree with the line move, and I'll give it out at under 129 as well. A couple stars here. And I think that's probably the best look that I have so far for this game.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Please.
Arkansas versus Baylor. This number's kind of sitting around this -7.5. The total is 148. I think if Arkansas showed up more or played better against Oral Roberts, this spread would be lower, you know. So now because of Arkansas's woes and what Baylor did at the end of this game, brought this to a pretty big spread. But I'll tell you right now, if Baylor plays the way they did against Villanova and Arkansas just plays average, Arkansas is not only covering the spread, they could possibly win this game. You know, I think that Arkansas's defense is better than what people think. And that was part of the reason why they were able to stop Oral Roberts at the end. I mean, Oral Roberts was hitting some 3 balls, man. You know, at the beginning of that game. And then they kind of faded away towards the end. Arkansas went 1 for 9 from 3. 11%. But at least they stopped shooting them because they were shooting good 2s. Oral Roberts went 18 for 30. Still somehow lost that game. 13-10 turnover margin. Slightly the reason. The rebounding. Oral Roberts can't rebound the ball. Well, they got 35 of them, but 46 of them for Arkansas, right? So are they going to be able to rebound like that over Baylor? Probably not. And Baylor's defense has been better, for sure. So right now, I don't have a play on it. I'm still analyzing this game a little bit more. But you can maybe use them in a money line parlay. Something like that, which hasn't been working out well for favorites, obviously. Teams against Oregon State and UCLA. So, careful with that. It's the best advice I have. This is a pretty high total at 148 for such a big game. I guess I'm going to lean to the under on that one. USC versus Gonzaga. Gonzaga is about a 9-point favorite. The total is 155. I mean, who's going to stop Gonzaga? That's my question. Because they're still going to be 6-point favorites against Baylor. Even if it gets to Baylor. Right? Well, I will say that one thing. That of all the teams left, Michigan and USC probably have the best chance against Gonzaga because they're height inside. I don't know if Timmy is going to be able to keep playing the way he is, but the dude's awesome. Drew Timmy. The interesting thing is the metric site actually has Gonzaga by 7 on KenPom. And on Bart Torvik, it's Gonzaga by 8. So this is a little bit big. Gonzaga's, they probably predict Gonzaga's going to take some money. I mean, the thing with USC is that they're also playing great. Can they keep it up? I don't know. They should. We have that 50-1 ticket on USC, but I'm not touching it until in-game, just because there's 2 more games after this. And I'm probably just going to have to kiss it goodbye according to the spread. But at the same time, USC is that tall team that might be able to handle Gonzaga. And Gonzaga's defense is good. It's not great, but it's really, really good. And it looks a lot better when they're blowing out other teams and keep people on the heels of their feet. I'm still wondering if Gonzaga is going to have that stinker game. That game where they're finally not hitting some shots. You have to wonder that. How long can they keep this up? USC's defense ranks number 4th in the nation. 89 or 87.9 defensive efficiency. It's pretty good. It's not like they play that slow. They're slightly slower than average. Opponent effective field goal, 44.5%, ranking 6th in the nation. Their issue is that they don't guard the 3, like I said before. Now, were they able to do it better against Oregon? Yes. That was part of the reason they won. But if they're going against guys on Gonzaga, like Jalen Suggs, like Corey Kispert, who shoots 46% from 3, Ayayi, 38.5% from 3, Dominic Harris, 39% from 3, then there's going to be some serious trouble for them. But the good news is they can rebound the ball with their height. And if they're able to do that, it could be a long day for Gonzaga. So, I mean, that's really all I have to say about that game. Final game, UCLA versus Michigan. UCLA money's coming in now. It was 7.5. It's now down to 7, similar to the Oregon State. Total 136.5. I mean, if the same officiating crew is going to be here, I'll bet Michigan all day. But I just don't know what to expect here. I mean, Michigan versus LSU was literally lopsided towards LSU more. UCLA's playing just determined basketball. You can see the excitement in these kids' eyes. And they're not scared. They're stepping up to the plate. But will it be enough against Michigan and how they screen, how they get to the rim, their height? You know, I'm very concerned for UCLA this game. So, going to leave it at that. But I have to wonder. See, this total is 136.5. So I have to think that there's a better chance that Michigan would cover this over the Houston total at 129, 129.5. It's actually right now it just changed back to 129.5. So there you go. So a little bit of money came in on the over in that game. But the higher the total, the better you feel about a variance in a game, right? So that's the way you got to look at this one. But UCLA, better guard play. They're now up to number 16 in the nation on KenPom. You know, Cody Riley's doing a great job inside there. But they still have some height issues now, you know, since they lost Chris Smith a long time ago. As well, of course, as Jalen Hill. So, I don't know how they keep doing it, but a lot of it's defense. And are they going to be able to stop Michigan's really good offense? KenPom has this only as a 5-point favorite, and this is still very large. If you like Michigan, I would still wait on this one. But right now, the only play for sure that I'm going to give out is Houston under 129.5, 129, whatever you can get, the best number that you can possibly get. You know, after I dig in a little bit more to these games, these Tuesday lines just came out. I might have another play for you guys, so be watching at the oddsbreakers.com for another free picks article. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Should you have any questions, please tweet us at the Oddsbreakers. Have a fantastic time watching the Elite Eight and go get some winners.